BloodyFlixx. I'm your host Pete.
And I'm Kyle, and we talk about all things bloody.
And today we're going to review the movie
Deadly Friend.
Wes Craven's horror movie from 1986. So this movie is pretty much about a boy who has a robot that he built, falls in love, has a friend, and all chaos happens and a bunch of killings.
Yes.
So you want to start taking us through the movie?
Well, Paul, he's a genius in brain surgery type.
Yeah.
I guess would be the way to describe it.
Yeah, Paul, the main character, is played by Matthew. I can't pronounce his last name. Actually, he was in Little House on the Prairie, so you recognize him right off the bat. But he actually is not even high school. He's advanced. He actually is working on brains as an understudy at the college. So he knows how to work on brains. He knows how brains work. They actually do a part where they actually get they stimulate the mind and actually get the body to move. So that's kind of his background. He's that's how he built a robot. And the robot, his name is BB, a yellow robot. BB, kind of cross between Short Circuit, Johnny Five, and Wall-E, kind of put in there. So not BB-8 from Star Wars. Rip off. This was the original BB, yellow BB. So anyway, takes us back to the movie.
So he meets the girl next door, Samantha, played by Christy Swanson, and they kind of have a little relationship going. And unfortunately, Samantha's father is very abusive towards her, and not the sexual kind.
Physical abuse, just smacks around.
And so unfortunately, some events happen to both Samantha and BB. BB-8, BB-8 wannabe.
It happens.
Yeah,
BB.
BB. And Paul has to save both his wannabe girlfriend and his robot. So this is kind of a take on a modern day Frankenstein. So he creates a monster by putting BB's chip in Samantha. And
yeah, so the premise of the movie is he moves in the house. He has this robot who could pretty much do anything and the robot sees a fuzzy, kind of like a scrambled picture you can kind of see. That's the view of BB's, the robot. They move into a new house. He meets his friend, Tom. No, not Tom, that's the dad. Tom. Tom's the friend. He's the Paul's friend, Tom, some of his papers. They become friends. Samantha lives next door. She becomes a love interest. So they all end up hanging out. They do realize that Samantha's dad is abusive, physically wise. It doesn't like her coming over. But they do manage to go out and do friend things. Now there's some other characters in there along the way. Anne Ramsey, who plays Elvira, she was the throw mom from the train in the Goonies. She is Elvira, the crazy neighbor who has her yard fenced off. Doesn't want anybody in the yard. Crazy lady. That gets established off the bat. As typical teenagers, they have a run-in with the older kids on dirt bikes that get bullied a little bit. That type of thing. They kind of pick on BB a little bit. And every time BB has an issue with Elvira or the older kids, how you see the view through him turns red, and he's sucking it in, but he doesn't do anything about it. And then it's around Halloween. Tom, Paul, and Samantha want to play a little trick on poor Miss Elvira there. Of course, she has her yard fenced off, and there's a gate with a padlock. So BB walks up to the gate and unlocks it. And Samantha decides to go up there and ring the doorbell and scare Elvira there. And so she does. And an alarm goes off, and the kids hide. Well, BB's standing outside of the gate, and he comes up to get to the kids. And Miss Elvira there comes out with a shotgun and shoots the crap out of poor BB. Poor BB.
Yeah, poor BB.
So now Paul doesn't have BB anymore. So he actually says BB's down and out for the count. Paul continues his relationship with Samantha and Tom, and they're all friends. And they actually, for a girl that can't even sneak out of the house to go next door, she sure gets out of the house a lot to sneak around town. You notice that? Like the whole movie, she gets out of the house, but for that, but she can't go next door. It's kind of weird. But a little earlier in the movie, before BB got killed, they were playing basketball. And BB shot a basketball over into Elvira's fence, and she kept the ball. She took it inside and kept it. That's why they went and tried to do the Halloween prank on her, because she's a mean lady. Samantha, with her abusive dad, I think it was Thanksgiving. She ends up going up for Thanksgiving, sneaks out of the house. She goes back to the house to try to sneak in the house. Well, what happens there?
Her dad catches her and slaps her around, and she falls down the steps and hits her head, and she's basically declared brain dead. And they're gonna pull the plug on her. So Paul has this idea to, save her, and he takes BB's computer chip and puts it inside Samantha's head, and basically she kind of becomes like a robot.
Yeah, they make it appear robot, because she looks like a zombie robot, because she has the blue eyes like the old Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead original zombies with the blue eyes and the pale face. And she walks around like this, like she's a Star Trek fan, loves Spock, and she's doing the robot movements, but she has no robotic parts. So my thing is, she's not a robot. She's a zombie. And you said, no, she's not a zombie, because she has a microchip in her. She's a
cyborg.
So I have to agree, yeah, she'd probably be a cyborg, because she has the processor controlling her brain, but she's not a robot, which they imply that she's a robot, which makes no sense. But anyway, yeah, he puts the chip in her, and she comes to life, and he spends some time trying to get her to get back to normal. But you can see her thinking, like she recognizes him, but she doesn't recognize him. The problem with having BB's chip in her brain is that BB, I told you, he went red when he saw someone being mean to him. Well, what happens to Samantha?
She starts becoming evil because she thinks she's BB, and the first person she kills is her dad.
He deserved it.
Yeah, he deserved it. She snaps his neck and actually burns him too. Throws him in the...
Yeah, throws his face. That's right. He throws his face in the. There must be one heck of a furnace downstairs.
Yeah.
Because the furnace in the house is this big. I mean, this is almost like a mortuary furnace. They stuffed his whole head in there, and then they bury him in a whole pile of coal, which in the basement, it looks like a barn. Their basement ended up looking like a barn because they have this big like horse wall, like you see a horse on the other side, and it's full of coal. And they buried the dad, and they put the big piece of coal to block his hand or something. So it's like the biggest basement on earth. Now that you mention that.
And then after she's done with him, then she goes next door to kill the neighbor Elvira, and this is probably the best death in this movie. Earlier,
right behind us.
Yeah. Earlier, with the basketball, Elvira has that in her house, so Samantha breaks in and picks up the basketball and throws it right at Elvira's head, and her head explodes. And after her head explodes, her headless body kind of starts twitching all over the place, and blood squirting out, and it was cool. It was
definitely the best death scene in that movie. Probably one of the better ones of a lot of movies, really. I mean, it makes Jason Voorhees look like he doesn't know how to kill. Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty cool scene because it was my first time seeing it. I don't know how I missed the movie, but it was. I saw that and I went, whoa, that was awesome. But yeah, she kills him. She kills the dad. She's just torn between like trying to be human, and you see her she tries to kiss Paul. Samantha tries to kiss Paul, and Paul, I don't know what you're up to, but when Samantha tries to kiss you, you're talking Buffy the Vampire Slayer here.
Yep, Christy Swanson.
She tries to kiss you. I don't care if she's got blue eyes, black eyes, white skin. She's too pale. Kiss her. You messed up, buddy. But yeah, she's just torn between the two, and then of course Tom tells Paul he's going to tell on him because it's not right because she's not human, and then all hell breaks loose, and here comes the cops, and and Samantha's on the run. So what happens after that?
So while she's on the run, cops finally end up catching up to her, and they kind of holding Paul back, and she sees that, and she kind of goes into BB mode again and tries to save him, and unfortunately she gets shot by the police and dies again.
I wonder if they were going to try to make a sequel out of that, possibly. But the cool thing about it is you can see her going from just the blurry, normal robot screen. She goes really clear, like you're seeing us now. When she looks at him, like she's becoming human. Like her body's fighting between human and the robot. And then finally, when the sheriff pulls his gun, the robot takes over, and then she dies. But you saw this movie before I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see this in the 80s. I don't know how I missed this movie. This movie is really, really great. It's fun. It's entertaining. A lot of cool characters, people that you know. Because the whole time I'm thinking, where did I know Paul from? From Little House on the Prairie. I was thinking, didn't think of it for the longest time. And then to find out that Samantha was Chris Swanson, that's Buffy, which irritates me because she was at a convention we just went to. He got an autograph. I didn't. Had I known she was in this movie, I would have got her autograph. So now I'm really bummed out. But I mean, it was all out really good movie. I mean, teenage movie, falls in love. You got a robot. I mean, heck, I always wanted the robot from Rocky that Paulie got, but I'd take this over that one or Johnny Five any day. This BB was cool. Again, not BB-8 ripoff from Star Wars. The original BB-8. Or the original BB, not BB-8. The original BB. What'd you think?
Yeah, I liked it. That's I've seen it not in the 80s, of course. I'm not that old. I really like it, and in fact, I have it part of my Blu-ray collection.
All right, so I'd say I would give it 3 blood drops out of 5 for me.
And for my rating, I'm going to give it 4 blood drops out of 5.
Ooh, nice. All right, so until next time,
Stay bloody.